China didn't merely provide an update, they issued a verdict. There was no grand press conference, no forewarning, no orchestrated moment of excitement, just a quiet upload. A collection of FITS files, photometric readings, astrometric positions, and time-stamped data streams quietly entering their national archives, much like ordinary paperwork. Yet, for the scientists who delved into those files, it was far from ordinary. They recognized confirmation. Confirmation of the one scenario that astronomers in the West desperately hoped they'd avoid facing, because China's new observations of 3I Atlas, gathered during the most peculiar 36-hour blackout in Western astronomy, do more than just fill a gap. They alter the entire timeline. They reveal an interstellar object brightening when it shouldn't be, expanding its coma in ways that defy our models, developing a tail structure that contradicts previous readings, and showing precision that no natural comet should exhibit. Strangely, nothing about the object itself had changed. And yet, everything else had, as if 3I Atlas wasn't simply waiting for solar heat, it was anticipating us, anticipating that gap, awaiting the moment when only one nation was observing. China's discovery doesn't unveil a new mystery, it corroborates the one we've been avoiding, the one we've been apprehensive about from the beginning. The blackout, the timeline is crucial, and that timeline is flawed. On July 1, 2025, Chile's Atlas survey first identified the object that would gain the name 3I Atlas, marking only the third confirmed interstellar visitor in human history. However, from the moment astronomers calculated its orbit, an unsettling impression lingered. This object wasn't just moving fast, it was alarmingly fast, traveling at heliocentric speeds nearing 209,000 kilometers per hour, gliding through the solar system on a trajectory that never belonged to our sun. Western observatories committed significant resources to track it. JWST, VLT, Gemini all synchronized to create a continuous observational arc. Then, just when the comet entered the most critical phase of its evolution, everything went dark. Not an accident, but a planned 36-hour blackout. 5 major Western observatories went offline. Gyroscope realignment, mirror cleaning, instrument swaps, mission reprioritization. All maintenance cycles coincided with uncanny precision. In that brief window, a gap in the fabric of global astronomy opened up. 3I Atlas slipped perilously close to the sun's glare, at precisely the moment when a comet should reveal its true structure through peak-out gassing, jet activation, dust-to-gas ratios, coma expansion, and nucleus stress fractures everything we depend on to comprehend its nature. A natural comet would have nothing to conceal. An unnatural one would reveal everything. But the West turned a blind eye. Not China. High-altitude stations in Tibet, Qinghai, and Yunnan remained alert during the blackout. No maintenance cycles, no scheduling issues, no instrument changes. The skies in that hemisphere were dark, stable, and perfectly suited for uninterrupted monitoring. While the most advanced observatories on Earth slept, China documented continuous astrometric positions, coma expansion rates, tail morphology, multi-filter photometry, dust grain size distributions, and brightness evolution curves, with every frame time-stamped to millisecond precision. Every exposure integrated into cooling systems operating beneath sub-zero night air, and every FITS file transmitted through redundant fiber optic links to servers in Beijing and Enj. What they recorded was not what Western scientists anticipated seeing when the blackout concluded. The coma not only grew, it expanded towards the sun. The tail did not merely form, it developed at an abnormal rate. Brightness didn't just fluctuate, it surged by 0.3 magnitudes within mere hours. The dust profile didn't simply alter, it shifted towards large carbon-rich grains, unprecedented for a comet with this chemical background. China didn't merely bridge the gap, they exposed it. To grasp what China discovered, we need insight into what the coma represents: a halo of dust and gas released when a comet awakens near the sun. Yet 3I Atlas didn't awaken, it reacted, responding and speaking in particles. From mid-July onward, JWST and Spherix had already observed something peculiar. A coma dominated by carbon dioxide instead of water, a signature indicating a thermal history vastly different from any comet originating in our system. But during the blackout, with solar radiation peaking, China recognized the comet's own echo signal, revealing a brightness surge, an expansion wave, a structural rearrangement of the dust cloud. This wasn't random sublimation, it was a discernible pattern. To observe that pattern required eyes on the object every minute, and China had them. The West did not. When JWST and VLT resumed operations, the time series was interrupted. The comet had moved 1.2 million kilometers, enough to blur the reconstruction of high-resolution models. Yet, China's data seamlessly stitched it together, as if nothing had been missed. When scientists aligned the coma readings, the conclusion became clear. The interstellar visitor wasn't behaving like a comet trying to survive the sun. It was acting like an object responding to it. This segment of the tale may not sound dramatic, but it is. Every photon captured by China traversed nitrogen-cooled CCD detectors, atmospheric correction pipelines, redundancy servers in high altitude, vacuum verification, and metadata alignment employing Gaia Dr. 3 light curve cross-calibration using Lendalt-Seek. All the while, Western observatories with mirrors 4 times larger recorded nothing. The end result: China generated the first continuous photometric sequence of an interstellar comet amid its peak solar activation. The data illustrated coma elongation towards the sun, photometric brightening consistent with jet activation, dust ratios incompatible with water-driven sublimation, a nucleus brightness profile inconsistent with size estimates as low as 300 meters, an astrometric accuracy that halved orbital error. This wasn't just solid astronomy, it was strategic astronomy. And within that strategy, China documented the moment the West science faltered, the moment 3I Atlas unveiled its genuine nature. When Western observatories finally reactivated, the damage had already been done not to the comet, but to our comprehension of it. A full 36 hours, without data, during a fast-moving interstellar object's perihelion progression isn't merely a gap, it's a wound. Without China's logs, the West would have resurfaced blind to the coma's abrupt asymmetry, the sunward jet structure, the brightness surge, the dust-to-gas shift, and the subtle variations in trajectory. Most troubling was that when the Western models were updated, they didn't entirely match natural comet behavior. The missing segment of the light curve left uncertainties too significant to overlook, and every recalibration pointed to the same conclusion. Whatever 3I Atlas is, it isn't acting like a comet ejected randomly from another star. And the silence from Western agencies NASA, ESA, Noyolabebi came deafening. For there was one undeniable thing: China could provide proof. When China uploaded the blackout period files to the China VO Sky Survey portal, astronomers worldwide accessed them before any formal commentary was released. No press release, no interpretation, just raw data, the purest form of truth in science. Within 12 hours, the Minor Planet Center recalibrated the orbit. American institutions retrieved the FITS datasets. European analysts conducted their own. The orbital uncertainty collapsed from 25 arcseconds to 5. The comet's hyperbolic trajectory was confirmed with unparalleled precision. But the strangest twist: the coma's elongation wasn't random noise. It exhibited directionality, purposefulness almost resembling a signal-like response pattern activated by solar radiation. The document referring to the echo signal was not metaphorical. It was literal. 3I Atlas reacted to sunlight as if it possessed an awareness of the oncoming solar radiation. When Chinese and Western data merged, something unimaginable occurred. The spectral readings from Spherix, brightness profile from Hubble, coma geometry derived from China's BVR, astrometric positions obtained from Gaia Drive 3, dust distribution modeled through scattered light, nucleus size constraints, and orbital recalibrations all aligned into a single, continuous, coherent timeline. This unified timeline indicates a CO2-dominant comet that shouldn't behave like one based on its brightness curve inconsistent with thermal history. A tail structure evolved during the blackout hours, a nucleus too small to produce the observed coma naturally, a dust-to-gas ratio far outside the norms of the solar system, an overwhelmingly precise hyperbolic trajectory, an object reacting more rapidly to solar activation than physics would predict. This isn't just a random rock from another star. This is a phenomenon, and China's discovery solidified what everyone dreaded. We were not tracking a passive interstellar comet. We were monitoring an active interstellar object. China's observations do not imply alien technology, do not propagate conspiracy theories, and do not indulge in speculation. They simply reveal the truth that the West sought to avoid. 3I Atlas exhibited different behavior when only one nation was paying attention. It brightened when no one else could gauge it. It transformed its tail structure when only one hemisphere held its gaze. It enlarged its coma toward a direction contradicting natural models. It reacted to sunlight in a way suggesting activation, not melting. It generated data that aligns too impeccably to be dismissed as mere coincidence. The fear was not that the comet posed a danger. The fear was that it was deliberate, purposeful, coherent, and China's discovery validated that. This was not just an interstellar object. It was an interstellar event. Whatever 3I Atlas truly represents, it understands how to conceal itself. And when we are not looking, it knows. Ultimately, it wasn't the telescopes that astonished the world. It wasn't the images, or brightness surges, or the implausible coma expansion. It was the silence from the West, coupled with the data from the East, that shattered it. For China didn't merely witness something strange. They observed something that the rest of us weren't meant to see. Something that slipped into the blackout hour like a whisper, altered its behavior when no Western observatory was paying attention, and emerged on the opposite side, remaining utterly dissimilar from the object we thought we understood. For months, astronomers insisted that 3I Atlas was a Cometa frozen drifter from another star, nothing more. Yet comets don't exhibit selective reactions. They don't change the direction of their coma during moments when half the planet is unaware. They don't brighten on cue. They don't modify their dust profiles solely when being observed by a single nation, nor do they mimic activation patterns, the instant solar radiation peaks. China's discovery didn't instigate fear, it confirmed it. It confirmed that the object we welcomed as a benign interstellar visitor was conducting itself as if it were conscious of being monitored. Something that reacted to solar energy not through melting but through precision. Something that structured its tail, reshaped its coma, and adjusted its brightness as if it were following a mechanism, driven by a set of instructions written far beyond our sun. The anxiety was never that 3I Atlas might collide with Earth. The worry lay in its non-passivity, its non-random nature, its apparent directionality that it was executing an agenda and biding its time for the optimal moment to do so. And when that moment came, the international scientific community was blind except for one nation. China's measurements unified the missing hours into a continuous timeline, and that seamless curve represents the most unsettling aspect because, upon examination, the behavior appears coherent, intentional, resembling a trajectory correction or an activation sequence, like a response. Every pattern the West overlooked, China recorded. Every doubt the West attempted to dismiss, China validated. Every fear scientists whispered privately has now surfaced at the center of discourse. If 3I Atlas alters its behavior depending on who is observing, then what exactly is keeping watch on us? This ultimately distills down to a simpler, yet more terrifying reality. We are investigating an object that does not behave like an ordinary object. It acts like a system one that has no obligation to reveal its nature to us. It utilized the blackout window to present a different facade, a distinctive structure, a different truth, and only one nation was privy to it. For the first time in modern astronomy, humanity is not divided by interpretation, it is divided by information. One nation possesses the missing chapter, and the universe isn't pausing for others to catch up. So now, as 3I Atlas continues its silent journey through the solar system, drifting, accelerating, reshaping itself under the radiance of our sun, we are confronted with a truth that can no longer be overlooked. We haven't merely identified an interstellar object, we have detected an interstellar intent, perhaps passive, perhaps ancient, perhaps benign, maybe something else entirely, but intent, nonetheless. And regardless of the ultimate truth, one fact remains paramount. The universe is attentive, and it just demonstrated that it knows when we aren't. If this story has left you pondering what truly entered our solar system, don't look away now. Subscribe to ensure you don't miss what China and now NASA disclose next. Activate notifications, for the next data drop could revolutionize everything we think we know. And in the comments, share your perspective. Do you believe 3I Atlas is merely a comet or the first interstellar system humanity has ever witnessed in motion?